Hello, football fans! Welcome back to Kleschka Picks, week 4. Let's get started with the Thursday game, Packers and Eagles. Packers, they beat the Broncos last week, and the Eagles, oh my God, they had a chance to win this game. They got that blocked field goal, and they weren't able to capitalize, so the Lions ended up winning that football game. In this Thursday night matchup, I think the Packers are going to win. Carson Wentz, he has been up and down this season, and Aaron Rodgers hasn't been like the top of the top Aaron Rodgers that like we all know, like MVP Aaron Rodgers, but he's still been good. He's been good enough to get the job done. There's many other quarterbacks that are worse than how he's performing right now, obviously. And I think Aaron Rodgers just has the better experience and will have a better game, especially with the Eagles having these moments where they could be a better team with a better record, but they just keep slipping. So I'm going to give it to the Packers 30-20. Giants and Redskins. Okay, the Giants, Daniel Jones' first start last week. Hold on, picking up the football really quick. Here, I got it. And Daniel Jones, he ran it in for the game-winning touchdown. The Buccaneers could have spoiled that, but they missed the field goal, which means Daniel Jones completed the comeback and shocked the football world. The Redskins, they played the Bears, and the Chicago defense was elite that night. My goodness, they were getting interceptions, they were getting fumbles. Case Keenum, that's what I tried to copy right there. When I tried to jump, and then he got smacked out on the fumble, and the Redskins just could not stop turning the ball over. It seemed like it was happening all night. However, in this game, I think the Redskins will continue to struggle, and I think Daniel Jones will lead the Giants to victory once again in his second NFL start. 2 wins, 2 starts. That's what I'm saying. Alright, I think Daniel Jones and the Giants will beat the Redskins 24-20. Lions and Chiefs. Lions were the team that beat the Eagles. They could have lost that game, but the Eagles, like I said, did not capitalize. And then the Chiefs. By the way, Soup is probably watching. He seems to be tuning into the Kleschka Picks so far in Season 4. What's up, Soup? Your Chiefs, I'm pretty sure you're happy about them, and I think you're going to be happy with my pick. I think the Chiefs are going to win this football game. The Chiefs are just looking so incredibly unstoppable. Patrick Mahomes at quarterback is really the one weapon that can win it all, because they lost Tyreek Hill for a certain amount of time, but he has had receivers like Demarcus Robinson step up, that rookie step up. So Patrick Mahomes, he has that Tom Brady effect. He makes the others around him better. But they played a close game with Baltimore last week, and a lot of people were saying that that could be the new Brady Manning, Lamar Mahomes. Who knows? It was a good game, their first matchup against each other. This week against Detroit, I think Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will get the victory 33-23. Falcons and Titans. Titans played in the Thursday game last week against the Jaguars, and they were off to a hot start. Not the Titans, the Jaguars. And then penalties just kept killing the Titans offense really the entire game. In fact, it was so bad it pissed off Tom Brady and made him turn off the game. That's how insanely bad it was with penalties in this game. And the Falcons, they lost a close one to the Colts. The Colts have been very impressive, and the Falcons have been quite disappointing with the offense that they have. They could definitely be better, but I think Tennessee is going to win this week. With just how Atlanta's playing right now, I don't like what I'm seeing. So they really need to get that talent going. Like Matt Ryan needs to step up. Julio Jones is performing like Julio Jones, but Matt Ryan is having some bad spots in his game, and if he can just patch those, then I think this offense will just keep rolling. However, I don't see that happening this week. I think the Titans will win 27-17. Ravens and Browns, a little divisional matchup right here. The Browns lost to the Rams in a game they could have had. They kept this in their grasp and then just let it go at the last second. They had plenty of opportunities and they just couldn't make use of any of them. And then you have the Ravens, who played the Chiefs, which I mentioned earlier, Mahomes versus Lamar. That could be an epic matchup of Brady Manning proportions going into the future. That would be amazing and awesome if we could see games like that with these two quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson has been off to a great start this season. However, last week for Baltimore, Mark Ingram was pretty much the star of the game, 3 touchdowns, great rushing attack. This week, I think the Ravens are going to continue their dominance. They played a tough opponent last week, so you can't really say they had a bad week last week because the Chiefs are just one of the best teams in football. But when it comes to playing the Browns, I think the Ravens have the better offense, especially with the way Lamar Jackson's playing. Mark Ingram has been a great add and has been proving that it was a great addition to the team. So I think the Ravens will beat the Browns 30-16. And the Bills escaped with a win over the Bengals last week. The Bengals tried to make a comeback, but they could not complete complete it. The Bills stay undefeated, and they are playing the Patriots, who are led by Tom Brady, of course. And Tom Brady, whenever he is the quarterback, is of course going to have probably a 90% shot to lead his team to victory and an 80% shot to get his team to playoffs, probably more than that. But yeah, it's very tough to beat the Patriots. They're just one of the toughest teams. They're well coached. Like I said about Mahomes, how if you have him, then he makes others around him better. That came from Brady. Brady gets players and he makes them better around him. Julian Edelman and just any other receiver that you have seen go through the years, Tom Brady makes you be like, who is that? Like, who's that catching that ball? Yeah, Tom Brady has that effect on that team, and it's just very tough to beat the Patriots. So I think the Patriots are going to beat the Bills 27-17. Panthers and Texans. Panthers beat the Cardinals last week, and the Texans, they got a comeback win against the Chargers. They were down in the first half, and then they flipped that story in the second half. They're a very talented team. You know, Deshaun Watson, he's young. He's a franchise quarterback for the Texans. He's going to compete for many years to come. And then he's got an elite wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. So if he ever needs like an emergency go-to, DeAndre Hopkins will most likely catch it 100% of the time. And the Panthers, there will be no more Cam Newton. Cam Newton will not be playing this week. I don't know if he's out for season. I don't think he's out for season. He's just out another week, which means Kyle Allen will be starting again, which means, I don't know, he did beat the Cardinals, but the Cardinals are not as impressive as a team as the Texans. I think the Texans are going to beat the Panthers 31-20. Chargers and Dolphins. The Dolphins played the Cowboys last week, and they actually kept it close for a while, and it seemed like they might actually bring it to the end as a close game, but that didn't end up happening. The Cowboys eventually were like, oh yeah, we're playing the Dolphins, and then they beat them easily. And then you had the Chargers, who had that comeback loss against the Texans. The Chargers are a very, very talented team. You have Phillip Rivers, who's a veteran and knows how to get the job done. Then you have Keenan Allen, who's a reception god and can be a number one receiver, is a number one receiver. And I don't see them losing to the Dolphins, even though they had that tough loss last week. I think they're way more talented than the Dolphins. Dolphins are not looking too hot this season. It's going to be a rough season for Miami fans, but not in my face of the franchise. The quarterback, Austin Kleschka, is taking care of Miami and that. Go watch that if you haven't, by the way. And yeah, the Chargers, even without Melvin Gordon, their run game is fine. Melvin Gordon could be coming back later in the season, but I don't think they absolutely need him right now. Of course, having him back would be awesome for them. But I think they can get the victory over the Dolphins, 38-10. Rams and Buccaneers. Rams, they got the victory over the Browns last week. Like I said, the Rams, they could have lost that one. The Browns had plenty of opportunities, but the Rams are a very talented team. Jared Goff is not, the most elite quarterback in the world, but he gets the job done. I'd say he's a pretty standard quarterback, and he can get the passes where they need to be, and he won't make mistakes very often. Todd Gurley, he's got his knee issue, but he's still a dominant running back, and he's better than most. The defense for the Rams is probably one of the best. You got Marcus Peters, you got Aqib Talib, you got Aaron Donald, the best player on defense at the moment. And let's switch over to Tampa Bay. They were the victims of that Daniel Jones comeback, his first victory in his first start. They could have spoiled and ruined that whole thing, but their kicker just missed it outside, and they took the loss. And I think they're going to take the loss again this week. I think the Rams will beat the Buccaneers 24-13. Seahawks and Cardinals. Cardinals, they lost to the Panthers last week. And my Seahawks, they lost to the Saints last week. I thought it was going to be an easy victory for us in Seattle. We were at home, no Drew Brees, but the Saints were like, hey, just because we got no Drew Brees and we're on the road doesn't mean we can't win. And they proved that. Their defense got it hot for them early, and they just rode off that. Seattle just could not come back from that, and New Orleans was proven that they don't need Drew Brees to win football games. They got plenty of talent in Alvin Kamara, and they got Michael Thomas, who's a top-tier wide receiver. So they're pretty talented without Drew Brees. Of course, having Drew Brees makes them better, but looks like they can get the job done without him, even if it's on the road. They proved that in one of the toughest road stadiums in football in Seattle. I really thought we were going to have that victory, but the Saints, they proved me wrong, and I will applaud them for that. Good job, Saints. But I think the Seahawks have the talent to beat the Cardinals. I think Russell Wilson is a very well-seasoned quarterback. He's a veteran. He's won a Super Bowl, and he's one of the smartest quarterbacks in football, I feel like. He makes others around him better too, not as well as Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, I would say, but he has that effect in a way. And I think just how young Kyler Murray is and how slow he started, I don't think he's going to beat the Seahawks. I think the Seahawks will beat the Cardinals 23-20. Vikings and Bears. Bears showed their potential last week, especially their defense. They got turnover after turnover after turnover. They had fumbles. They had interceptions. They had pick sixes. They had sacks. Everything on defense, they had it. And then Minnesota, they had their cakewalk in the park over the Raiders. Adam Thielen was just, running all over them, scoring TDs. But this is going to be a fun game. I think this is going to be very interesting because the Vikings, they definitely got an elite wide receiving core in Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. And then you have Kyle Rudolph at tight end too. And Dalvin Cook, he's improved this year. I think this is the best he's looked in his career. Then you have the Bears, who you don't know what you're going to get. You could get this really solid defense led by Khalil Mack, Eddie Jackson, Clinton Dix, Akeem Hicks. Who knows? You could get that defense. You could. But then the offense has to hold up as well. And Mitch Trubisky is very streaky. He's either going to be really good or he's going to be like, oh, God, Mitch Trubisky. And now you got this matchup where it could go either way. Like I said, it really depends on the Bears and how they're going to perform. And they don't get to play the Redskins every week. And because of that, I think the Vikings are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close because the Vikings ain't no Redskins. The Vikings have talent. They are not a team that you can walk all over like the defense and Mitch Trubisky did. I think the Vikings will give them a good matchup, and I think they will win 20-17. Jaguars and Broncos. Minshew Mania. He took over on Thursday Night Football last week. He's been a good backup so far since Nick Foles injured his clavicle, I believe it was. And the Broncos, they lost to the Packers. Philip Lindsay had a great game in the loss. And I think this could be close as well. I think this could go either way. Jacksonville's not really performing to the expectations that everyone thought they could. And then you also got Jalen Ramsey, who wants out, and now he's saying he's sick, so he's missing practice. Who knows if that's true? He could be sick, or he could just making up a reason to miss practice, so they trade him away. If you trade him away, that weakens their defense big time. I think the Jaguars are going to win this game with Minshew Mania is playing pretty well, and if you're going to stop the Broncos' run game, Calais Campbell is a good way to stop the run game. So due to that, I think the Jaguars will beat the Broncos 24-17. Cowboys and Saints. Cowboys have been one of the best football teams this season so far. Zeke has performed like Zeke. He looked like he might just, not play the first couple weeks, hold out, get that contract. But that didn't happen. He got that contract. He even played in week 1. He did not even hold out one game of the regular season. And then you got the Saints, who I said, earlier, they beat my Seahawks with no Drew Brees on the road. This week, it's going to be a very good matchup. It would be an even greater matchup if they had Drew Brees, but they don't. Dak Prescott has been playing very well. Zeke has been Zeke, and Dak Prescott has making his receivers look very good. Amari Cooper has been off to a great start this season, and I think the Cowboys, they just got it. They know what they're doing right now. And the Saints, no matter how hard they want to try to beat the Cowboys, even though they have no Drew Brees, and Alvin Kamara is going to step up, and maybe Michael Thomas, I think the Cowboys are just too talented to beat them with no Drew Brees, and yeah, I just don't see it. I see the Cowboys as one of the best teams in football at the moment, so I think the Cowboys will beat the Saints 30-24. Steelers and Bengals. Bengals almost had that comeback against the Bills last week, and Steelers lost to the 49ers. Steelers don't have Ben Roethlisberger for the rest of the year, but Mason Rudolph has proved that he's not a scrub, and he looks like he may provide some, smiles for the Pittsburgh fans. It doesn't look like they're completely out of it. Juju Smith had a long touchdown last week, and the Bengals, it's rough for them right now. No AJ Green. Andy Dalton is on the lower tier of quarterbacks. I think the Steelers can compete against the Bengals. I think this will be a pretty even matchup with no Ben Roethlisberger. If Ben was there, then I think the Steelers would have this easy. But I think it'll be kind of around the same ballpark with Mason Rudolph. I think the Steelers will win 23-17. Okay, everybody, thank you for watching Week 4 of Kleschka Picks, and this is probably my last time to tell you I will be in Boston this weekend. I will be watching a Red Sox game at Fenway Park on the 28th. The second to last game of the MLB season. I'm excited to check Fenway off my list. It'll be my last regular season baseball game.